Hey, everybody. I'm starting this for the first time. All right, so today, I figure with the market changing, what is important to talk about is, the way that we hustle, real estate, the way that we talk to our leads, the way that we even talk to people, the way that we go on appointments has all changed. So I decided to bring in a couple of guests, and these guests are ISAs, and these ISAs are, oh, we got more peeps popping in, a Brady Bunch crew. Okay, so we've got Aries in the building. He's awesome. Not only is he, and I'll let him do a little bit of introduction for himself, but he's like an appointment setting king, and he has developed his own scripts, curriculum for agents, things like that, and even calculators for agents to use when talking to prospective clients, and things like, which I was like super impressed with when he talked about that. And I say he has an Irish accent. He says he has an Australian accent. I mean, we argue about this. Maybe he knows himself better than I know him. And
You're making me nervous. Like literally, you're making me nervous.
no.
Oh,
Also, can we tell him? Can we all agree that Aries is a cooler name than Greg? He uses the phone name Greg, and I'm like, you got to go with Aries because that is the god of war, and that is the best name ever. Back me up, Daniel.
Yeah, I would definitely go with Aries, man. That's a slam dunk.
Thanks. Okay, I'll go with Daniel.
You should always introduce yourself as the name of the person you're calling. Okay, so we've got Aries here, we've got Bryle here, and Bryle is a great appointment setter as well. And we've got Cynthia here, and Cynthia, she her superpower is just being adorable on the phone. Like nobody can ever get mad at her and hang up on her. So I am terrible. I'm terrible at cold calling. I'm terrible at talking to people on the phone. I've always hated it. I've always dreaded it. I never ever wanted to run my business, picking up the phone and talking to people out of the blue. However, what always sucked was buying leads. We all did it, paying for leads, and then I never followed up with them. I would see them come in. I wouldn't even contact them. I was such a piece of shit about it. And so I just kept my database is growing. It's over 6,000 people between Sphere and paid leads, and I'm not doing shit with my database. And so I was watching this database grow and not make any money. They say the size of your database is equal to the size of your income. And for me, it was not true. So I decided to hire not one, but two ISAs. And even though like those who can't do teach, I started teaching Cynthia and Sophia. Sophia is not on the call because I have them in split shifts. One works earlier hours and one works later hours. But Sophia is on the earlier shift Cynthia is on the earlier shift this week. So that's why she's joining us. Aries and Bryle are both ISAs with my company, Virtuplicity, Placed with Clients. But I want them to kind of take over the call and have it be conversational. I want to hey, who's 13092? I'm going to rename you, by the way, so we know who you are. Who's my number person? Erica. Okay, cool. I'm going to rename you. Hi, Erica. No, that's fine. Okay, cool. So, Aries, I'm going to put you on the spot and start with you because you're the first person who I actually warned about this call.
Yeah, warned is the keyword. Yeah, yeah, I like that. See, Daniel, you're looking at me right now. So, do you think the cute name Aries would do me? God, no.
Absolutely, man.
Oh, come on.
And I'd say definitely more an Australian accent, which I think is more fitting for a god of war than an Irish person. So I think
Right?
I would
Okay,
stick with it.
okay. Two people against one, Sandy. You're just a protest, you know? Okay, God, I'm nervous. Yeah.
Well, you don't get to be nervous because you cold call people every day. So it's just like pretend that you're cold calling all of us at once.
All right, Daniel, we want to sell the house. Yeah, I'm just god nervous right now. So yeah, I'm the ISA under Holly, one of the clients with Sandy. They took me in last week. I started taking calls yesterday, I guess, after sales training with me as well, because it's going to be like FISBO. Yeah, Sandy introduced me like the not on the god of war, but the god of appointments. But that's for sellers. So I've watched several videos on YouTube, about people that might be interested in listing their property, and that's a new thing to me. So yeah, I could say that I'm the king of appointments for people that are interested in selling. So it's really far from someone who might want to buy from us. So yeah, I had to do lots of trainings about that, but I'm getting the gist of it already. I've gotten one appointment yesterday, I guess, out of 20 calls. So yeah, I don't know what to say. About the calculators and stuff like that, I've been the head trainer of another agency, but those are for people that are interested in selling their properties. And agents from the Philippines, of course, do not have an idea about the differences between a wholesaler, a flipper, how much they're taking in. So I had to, step in and make different calculators that they could make use of, so they would know if this is intended for a broker, for a wholesaler, for a flipper, stuff like that. Because the clients will just kick you off. Nah, this is not for me. It's too high, too expensive, maybe overpriced. But they wouldn't know how to gauge it, where to gauge whenever it's going to be an overpriced already. Plus ideas and how much would cost for a new HVAC system, for a new roof, yada yada, stuff like that. They wouldn't know how to justify a certain amount that a seller would be giving in. So he had to step in and put it on the calculator so they could make use of it. So all of them are using it now, but they kicked me. Yeah. God, I talk a lot, do I?
Love it. Love it. I mean, you sound like you know what you're talking about. Sound like you're gonna put me out of a job, Aries. That's all I know.
Yeah. Well,
So
I got laid off.
We have a new WTF Wednesday host, everybody. So one of the biggest things that I have seen is ever since I hired ISAs, it really has been incredible what has happened to my database, because appointments and responsiveness in my database has started to happen and snowball, like completely snowball. And it's honestly made me embarrassed of myself because I wasn't even, obviously I think we all are guilty of this, like not even reaching out, never mind the follow-up. Like I wasn't even reaching out, like with my paid leads. I mean, I got that lazy, like I'm too busy or whatever, or I'll get to it, or I don't know what my problem was. And so with finally leveraging that out, hiring that out, what they did was, get on the phones. And what I did was I'll go over a couple of things that I would suggest for agents, because this isn't about like, oh, hire an ISA. What I wanted to do was give practical tips to not just agents, but like any entrepreneurs who have to basically pick up the phones and talk to people, or manage a database or do anything. Okay. So the tips that I used when I was talking or when I was training my ISAs, I wanted to kind of put this out to train you guys, the agents, give back to you guys. I made a cold calling playbook. Which I can give to you as my gift to you, and it is a very good fucking playbook. You guys, actually, I can't believe I said I'm going to give it to you because I don't even make it downloadable. So I will give you guys each the link to Thinkific, my Thinkific training. I'll do that for you. Just message me with your email address and I will get you guys that training and everything. It's a really good playbook. And then also I'll actually share my screen and show you what it is because it's fucking awesome. And part of this is I studied the Harvard study. And Harvard, I can actually pull this up. For those of you, oh wait, I'm not even sharing my screen, am I? You guys, get it together, Sandy. Okay, now I am. So, here's the playbook. So here is the playbook, and it's all about, can I even make this smaller? Yeah, I can. Okay. This is all about it starts out with a little bit of like scripts and why. Dive into the why of it. And the playbook's about like, I don't know, over 20 pages, I think. And talks about what you're trying to establish, get to their motivation. And this is focused on real estate, but then it goes into a few other things. One of the biggest things that I've learned in talking with basically anybody for the rest of your life, never underestimate the power of, if I could do XYZ for you, would you, blah, blah, blah. Find out their pain point. And if I could solve this for you and not make this your pain point anymore, would that change things? Usually you're getting to yes at that point. Here is a page about the conversation funnel. You start with the why, and then you get to the when, and then the what are they looking for, and then you get to the appointment. Ford is something that I've learned about, like just like relating to people. I threw that in the bottom of here: family, occupation, relationships, streams. This page is all about the test closing offers that caters to the buyer's top 3 wants. Selection, which is like choices, affordability, which is price, and convenience, time, easy process. This is all about overcoming objections. I do not agree with the whole I already have a realtor thing. How I'm working with an agent, to me, that is how I disqualify them. So if they say I'm working with an agent, my thing is, great, who are you working with? Because I want to warn that agent that they're like trying to get another agent to show them a house. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about building relationships with other agents. But also, usually when I'm talking to the other agent, they're like, yeah, I've never heard of this guy, or he's psychotic, you can have him, or whatever. And then this guy goes in my database. But, you know, other people have different scripts. So I threw this in the playbook. Other agents are sending me properties because they're clicking all over the site. So to me, that doesn't mean I'm working with another agent. Like, I'll get back to you, talk to my spouse, all this other stuff. This is all about, this is for the ISAs now, getting them to really, really set an appointment, like set an appointment. by the way, how I have my ISAs get an appointment set for me is my preferred method of an appointment set is not to run out and show a house. It is to have a Zoom meeting, a 15-minute Zoom consultation. And I will show you real quick. Let's see. For those of you who know me, you know I love Slack because I can bookmark tons of shit in Slack. And so I bookmarked inside my Slack channel, I have an ISA chat channel, and my ISAs have a concierge seller strategy session that they can book appointments at for people that they're talking to. And this is only for my ISAs to book. Nobody else have the ability to book because they are allowed to set appointments for me on weekends and weeknights. So nobody else can see. That's why it says concierge seller strategy session, concierge buyer strategy session. And this is what the for those of you that have seen my Calendly trainings and stuff, I effing love Calendly. This is what they will see. You know, this is a first step low pressure consult. I don't like wasting my time. Other people don't like wasting their time, but it is a high statistic. I'm gonna like make it up right now, but it's between 80 and 90 something percent that somebody is going to do business with the first agent that they meet face to face. And so if they can just like get face to face with me, even through Zoom, I know we can like do business, no matter like how close or how far away that they are from moving, you know? So this connects to my Popple, which has, you know, they could, you know, share their contact info with me, which was that screen, but they can X out of that super easily. They can save my contact here, but I also have my contact card here, my website, home search site, Google reviews, all kinds of shit there. Okay. But also it explains, you know, the importance of me meeting with them via Zoom. And then also my ISAs can help them set up their Zoom if they need help setting up their Zoom. And my ISAs know they're in charge of helping them set up their Zoom if they want credit for, you know, being bonused on the appointment. And it's the same exact thing for the buyer strategy session. Okay, where were we? The playbook. All right, so you know, these are all like a whole bunch of objections. You guys can read this on your own time. Here are some closes. Home of your dreams, customized home buyer program closed, which what I like to promote in my personal business, my personal team, is we are a full service concierge. Like we do it all. So like if you work with us, we are full service, we are a complete concierge, like we do it all. So seek no further, look no more. This is what we will do for you. And that's basically our close. However, there are plenty of other tactics in here. So my disclaimer is I don't necessarily use everything in here. My ISAs are directed not to use everything in here, but I wanted to write a playbook that, you know, people can pick and choose what works for their business. So that is also my disclaimer, is like, don't think that Sandy Burnett like runs around in her own personal business using this. Now, here are what we do use is these are the appointment setting goals. If they're moving within 0 to 4 months and they're in town, like I want that appointment set ASAP. Okay. Like we'd love to earn your business. Like right now, like, I mean, they're getting ready to buy, like, let's get in front of them immediately. If they're out of town, but they're moving within 0 to 4 months, like that broker girl needs to be Zooming with them ASAP, or as soon as they're in town, I need to be in front of them. And then if they're 4+ months out, don't give them a sales pitch. This is what our website's for. Enjoy our home search site, you know, that type of thing. Language is super important. Don't be like, no worries or no problem. Be like, my pleasure. We look forward to earning your business. I used to say we look forward to serving you, but men like to be dirty about that. So I stopped saying that. Ladies, be careful about that, using that phrase. Especially if you're pretty. So
Did you find your appointments dropped after you stopped using that, Sandy?
No, they just hope that I start saying it again. So maybe my appointments went up. Who knows? So they when asking when they might be making a move, and they say they don't know, be like, if you had to guess, you know, if you had to guess, or if everything was perfect, if you had your perfect scenario, like, just try and like, I mean, they're on your site for a reason. There's no such thing as a bad lead or a dead lead unless like this person straight up hates you and they're like, hate browsing your site or something, which I do. I have haters, like, not gonna lie. So anyway, obviously you guys can go into this and feel free to read all of this yourself. I really like the do's and don'ts thing. Do not start with like, how are you doing and shit like that. Like, nobody likes that. We don't like that when people cold call us. Like, that's the first way to get hung up on. I will also say one of my favorite apps that we've started using. I don't like dialers, by the way. My team does not use a dialer because dialers are like, the second somebody calls me, if it takes more than like half a heartbeat for somebody to connect with me, I'm like, which nobody, like, phones don't work that way anymore. So, but you get my point. So, so how I handle things, and that was very important for me, that we selected a system that would connect with the client right away, because my assistants obviously are overseas. So, so what we've been using right now is Open Phone. And Cynthia, how's Open Phone been going so far, by the way?
Yeah, it works good. And
Okay.
we've been hearing leads clearly from where we are right now. So there's no lagging and all that.
What's that?
There's no lag when it comes like calling them
Exactly.
where we at right now. And then it saves like previous calls. You can also send text and emails. That's one of the features that we have on Open Phone.
Yeah, so I was going to show that right here. I was going to try and show that, but I don't want to show anything like proprietary or like people's business or whatever. Okay, this is pretty good. Okay, so this is via Slack. We have an Open Phone. I need to erase or change my other notifications out. Okay, so we have an Open Phone notifications channel. And then this is our phone number, okay? And then this is who we missed the call from. And what's awesome is I have visibility that we missed a call. And then my ISAs are the ones that control the phone number, okay? And this is me checking to see if it like is working, you know, like we're seeing if it's working. And then me just saying it's awesome. But I also, and I'm not going to show the text, but as the texts come in, it comes through the Slack channel and I can see these texts as they're coming in. So not only do my ISAs see it through the actual Open Phone app itself, But I, as the team lead, and any team members, if I wanted to add them to the channel, they could have visibility on it as well. I choose not to. I have visibility on it, sole visibility, but it is so cool that we have it, you know, just like that. It's so cool. So I highly recommend Open Phone. It is equal to the cost of a Skype number. You can record the calls, you can listen to the calls, voicemails, and after we got over a few like hiccups with getting it going and everything, it's been really cool. So this says don't introduce yourself with your company and brokerage, and we have to do that. We have to identify ourselves, but unlicensed people don't have to. So that's why I put that in there. Don't leave voicemails every time, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so anyway, obviously this thing's super long, but I will give that to you guys. You guys know where I'm going with what I'm going with. And so I am about to start charging a lot of money for my training and things like that. So happy to give this to you guys. Since y'all showed up. Now, that was one thing I wanted to cover down on. Oh, the other thing that I was going to show you guys, this was the Harvard study. I was going to show you guys this. Oops. Need to learn how to work a Zoom. Okay. All righty. Oh, this isn't this, but sales statistics. This really blew my mind when I was looking up things. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. I mean, this was all me, by the way. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. By the way, I'm seeing so many typos, and I designed this myself, so I am like dying inside. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% are made on the second. 5% are made on the third. 10% are made on the fourth. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So I included this in my ISA training and SOP just to kind of keep them motivated with their callback. Here's the Harvard Business Review study that I wanted to basically show you guys. I also include this in their SOP and training because they already went through this so that we don't have to. We don't have to go through when's the best time to call, like what, what do we do? So some people, which to me is like damn near running a sweatshop, I do not have my ISAs calling people day in and day out all day. My ISAs actually only call people 2 to 2.5 hours a day. The rest of the day, they are spending actually, so my morning ISA calls 1 to 1.5 hours, and then my afternoon to evening ISA calls 1 to 1.5 hours. That's all the time in their whole 8-hour shift that they spend on the phones, cold calling. And we're going to get to cold calling in a second because it's actually illegal for unlicensed people to cold call in the state of Iowa. And so I'm going to go over that as well. So they do not cold call, FYI. They do other practices, and so I'll let you know what we do for that. They do not cold call in the state of Iowa. In Illinois, it is okay to cold call. So they do not make calls beyond, and when I say cold, I mean like first inquiries, okay? First touches, that's what I mean, okay? If somebody comes to me, that's not cold, in my opinion. If they come to my site, if they make an inquiry to me, that is not cold. that is providing a service. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but definitely know your rules and regs in your state. But since a lot of people are from Iowa on this call, I'm definitely going to cover down on that. So this I wanted to go over because I wanted to tell you, as real estate agents, if you are making your own phone calls, do not fret. You do not have to be on the phones all day long. You only have to call at optimum times in the day. And I only have my ICEs calling at optimum times in the day. And I have them follow this structure. So here we go. The best practices for lead response management, Harvard Business Review. This is 3 years of data collected across many companies that respond to web-generated leads. This is 15,000 unique leads, 100,000 call attempts, okay? All this data collected here. The focus was for the best results, how should companies respond to their leads? The mission, maximize results, minimize effort. Many of the results in this studies are based on first call attempts, indicating how to get the job done right the first time. Okay. So the best days to make contact are actually Wednesdays and Thursdays. Okay. So what I tell my ISAs is they make their calls every weekday, but I tell them, whatever the hell happens on the rest of the days, shake it the fuck off. Wednesdays and Thursdays are your money makers, you know? Look at this. Tuesday versus Thursday is a 49% difference in conversion rate. Okay. Best times to make contact. When I told you that I only have them calling an hour to an hour and a half a day, at 8 a.m. is when they're making their phone calls in the morning, which I can't even believe because like I just straight up sleep in, but I'm different. I'm not normal. Okay. So it's because I'm self-employed and I don't have to people till I don't want to people. Okay. But normal people are out peopling. So my ISAs are calling them. So the best time to call is between 4 and 5 p.m. And so you're damn straight that they are on the phones during that time. And the second best time to call is this 8 a.m. mark. Okay. Look at this difference. 164% difference between early afternoon and late afternoon. These people are driving home from work. They're like bored. They're going to answer their fucking phone, is what I'm thinking. What else they're going to do? Response time. So we've heard this stat before. If you're in the sales game, we've heard this stat before. Contacts made from the first dials, best time to respond within 5 minutes. 10 times decrease after the first 5 minutes. If you don't get to them right away, and you know that we are all guilty at that. So my ISAs, I am all over them like white on rice for that first, like, who got this? Who touched them right away, you know? 400% decrease in the odds of qualifying them if you don't hit them in that first 5 minutes, because they're all over the internet. They're old squirrel. All right. Persistence. Always make at least 6 call attempts. And you know, we suck at that too, right, guys? 90%. It's saying 90% of sales, 90% chance of getting them after that 6th attempt. Over 30% of leads are never contacted at all. Guilty. By just making a few more call attempts, sales reps can experience up to a 70% increase in contact rates. Average call attempts by reps. Most reps give up on leads too soon. Wah, wah. Response time, the moment an interested lead completes a web form until a sales representative contacts them. And they're into that instant gratification. We all are. We all are. We want that shit right away. And it actually makes me feel terrible. Here's another tip or trick that I'll give you. I buy the realtor.com leads that drop significantly. I'll show you this shit. Hang on. Let me find it. And so I made a graphic, and I can't believe that anybody ever unsubscribes from my newsletter, because my newsletter is fucking awesome. And I have like downloadable graphics and all kinds of awesome things. And one of the things that I put out there was like how to partner with your lender on leads. This is what I made. Realtor.com, I put together something to help explain Realtor.com leads to my lending partner. Okay. And the concept is that per zip code, what they were telling me, at least here, was they guarantee you 40 leads over a 12-month per position, meaning 3 to 4 leads per month. But the lead type is either, you can either buy shared or unshared. But the shared lead is between only 2 agents. But y'all, after that stats, after those stats that I just read to you, are you feeling a little more confident about buying those shared leads? Because look at this price difference on these. You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Daniel, lender?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so on the lending side, our leads typically cost about $50 a month if you're getting a exclusive real-time lead. Now, if you push that out to an age lead that's been shared with 2 to 4 other lenders, but that might be anywhere from 70 to 30 days old, you're talking like $4 to $5 a lead, and anything from like 30 to 90 days, you're talking pennies. And you know for a fact, like you said, no one is contacting these people after 7 days. And so there's really, I feel like your odds of success are better with the lower quality lead, if that makes sense, or the cheaper lead, just because you're not really competing with anyone else. Just because it's shared doesn't mean you're actually competing with someone, because no one is actually, like that stat said, 10% of people are actually following up with these people properly. So there's, I feel like over time, you're going to make more money or more net profit with the cheaper lead, even though it might be shared, if that makes sense. I kind of just rambled there for a minute, but
those realtor.com leads being only shared with 2 people. And when I was talking about like that, I was never even contacting these people. And then realtor.com, I noticed, I think they like text them for you anyway, because I noticed people like texting back or whatever. I still wasn't even texting them when they're like, yeah, I'd love to see it as soon as possible and shit. I'm like, eh. And I know that the competition aren't doing that as well.
Right.
I would just forward it to my team and everything. But so, and then also I was showing them like the more positions available, the less competition in that zip code. But anyway, this is, if you guys ever want this to present to your lending partner and how realtor.com leads work, and then ask them for your specific area. So the last thing that I wanted to show you is, and I'll stop sharing until I finally look it up, is about that Iowa code for the Iowa code. But Aries, would you mind opening up your mic while I look that up?
Sure.
We had a question for, what do you do as far as callbacks? Like what do you, I would love, or the audience would love to hear, their questions are, what do you do when you call somebody? What do you do as far as like callbacks, voicemails, and maybe could you like role play a call with somebody?
Now you're making me nervous. I hate this. Because I'm
Okay, by
usually
the way,
working in the background.
I have to tell you guys this. This is amazing. So we actually, when our vetting process at Virtuplicity, when we're vetting ISAs, we have everybody submit a voice sample because some people, you know, accent's important. Some people, you know, they want to hear the voice that they're working with, who they're hiring, right? For social media managers, we have them submit their portfolio. So we just, you know, vet people in different ways.
Yeah.
So for the ISAs, people would say, hi, I'm so-and-so, or, you know, another ISA would submit, this is the biggest challenge this is how I overcame a big challenge in a job. Aries straight up, like a boss, just submitted a straight up real life phone call. Like,
I didn't
he
know.
had no idea the phone call, and he got an objection within like the first 15 seconds. This guy was such a dick to him, and he just like went through the whole phone call. That was his submission, and I thought that that was so cool. Anyway, so Aries, I'll let you take it away while I'm looking this up.
God, you're making me nervous the way to introduce myself. Yeah, I was just trained by several people already. I mean, the previous company I've been with is an agency, so we're related to like what 150 clients, and all Americans, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, they want me to be a hustler, and they wouldn't even want me to dial the regular phone numbers. Like if it's like a new list, they wouldn't want to give it to me. They would only want me to dial the wrong number list in the do not calls. So they want me to fight with the do not calls and the wrong numbers and stuff like that. Yeah, they hate me that much. Yeah, they hate me. They would like to give the regular list first to other agents and give it a try. If it's a do not call and it has a lot of rebuttals, I would just first listen to what happened on the previous call, and then I'll come back with a different name, yada yada, and compose myself and compose another script for that person and deal with it. Usually it's going to be like that because it's going to be for sellers, and a lot of sellers been called for like what 10, 20 times on a daily basis, and they hate
Let's
it.
hear a softball. Let's just hear a softball. You don't have to go through hard stuff because a lot of these agents aren't even like having to deal with like hard stuff. What would you do
Oh.
just calling normal people? It's fine because these people don't even make real phone calls. So like if they just had to make real phone calls.
Well, for normal phone calls, I would just connect with them. I think if they're not interested, I'm not going to push it, or maybe help them to push it for a no. Because if I'm going to push it for a yes, like a lot of yes, because it doesn't have to be a lead today. Maybe it will be a lead after 2 days, or even after a week, or even after a month. Sometimes they want me to call them back after 2 months. I wouldn't follow it. I'd follow it half of it. Like maybe if they want it in 2 months, I'll come back in maybe a month or maybe in 2 weeks, just checking out, you know, check on them. Yeah, just like that. Notes are really important to me, even for the other agents. If they want me to call their leads back because they wouldn't know how to compose themselves, then I would do it. So that's what I did for sellers only, not for buyers. For buyers, I'm doing the same thing right now, making my own script. God, it's long. Like, trust me, it's very long now. There are lots of notes I need to make sure that I follow, not to talk about the number of beds and baths if it's like a buyer, you know, the rules. So I'm like overthinking whenever that I get a call, whether it's gonna be a buyer or a seller, I need to adjust myself. So yeah, again, it doesn't have to be a lead right away on the first call. You have to nurture them. Sometimes that would take weeks, and that's fine with me. God, I talk a lot, do I?
No, I really, that's all really important. And then how about when you call somebody back, how do you open that conversation?
Give him a little bit of what we spoke about the first time, just to make him feel like, hey, you owe me something, like we've spoken already. So you know me, so let's, you know, go further down the road. Yeah, I think that's what I do, or how I do it. If they wouldn't answer, then I leave a voicemail. But before that, the 3 taps first. I try to call them back maybe 3 times before me leaving a message, or maybe leave a text message. Yeah, that's what my other investors told me or taught me to do, which I've still doing.
Aries,
Awesome.
what's the sorry, Sandy, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What's the thought process on not leaving a voice or text message on the first attempt? Is there some data behind that as to why you don't do that until like the third attempt?
Mike, I'm curious first, just have them bait first, like they're going to be curious, call me back, because I would love them to be on a phone call first and talk to me so I could trap them more rather than leaving a voice message. They would already know what I'm calling them for, and they wouldn't call me
Sure,
back.
they might just dismiss you right away then, I guess.
Yeah, just
See,
make them curious.
That's interesting because I've always been told the opposite, like, hey, if they don't answer the first time, just leave a message. But I find that on my additional get anywhere, and that's probably why.
Yeah. So yeah, I would
Interesting.
make them curious first, maybe first 1 or 2 calls, maybe. Or even if I would leave a message, I would not totally tell them what's my thought, what my intention or purpose. Just like very vague, that would make them really, really curious and call me back so I could make an engagement on a call.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm nervous.
Okay, I found the regulation that I want to share with you guys. So this is where you would find the statutes for each of your state for unlicensed personnel. So I am going to put that in the Zoom screen. All right, I suck. I don't know where my Zoom screen went. Anyway, once I stop sharing, I'll throw it back in the chat. So I feel old when that happens. Anyway, so going down to Iowa, it says this rule identifies certain tasks that unlicensed support personnel under the direct supervision of a licensee may not perform. Prohibited activities include, but are not limited to, the following. And literally the first thing is making cold calls by telephone or in person or otherwise contacting the public for the purpose of securing prospects for listings, leasing, sale, exchanges, or property management. We all, remember the whole, hosting open houses and showing property independently and all that other shit. But then I had to be reminded of this, and what, to me, again, cold calls is buying lists and just calling, So again, to me, warm inquiries, anything when anybody's asking for information, somebody connecting you or connecting somebody with an appointment to show with a licensed agent and things like that. None of those are, in my opinion, anything to do with a cold call. So don't be afraid if you're ever thinking about, leveraging an ISA or anything like that. Feel free to DM me, reach out to me. It is absolutely the best $4 to $6 an hour range that, in my opinion, that I've invested in my business so far. You can expect probably between, at first, 1 to 5 appointments set per week. And then beyond that, if you're getting too many appointments set per week, refer them out. It's a good problem to have. So anyway, make sure that you are not getting in trouble. Make sure that you're acting within the scope. I'm not going to be having them call FSBOs completely unsolicited and things like that. But again, I found it interesting that in Illinois, they don't really give a fuck. Nothing to do with anything for cold calling. My assistants know Illinois is basically fair game. So I'm licensed in both states. I know we've got Texas on the call, so let's look up Texas. And we've got Florida on the call too, so let's look up Florida. Cold calling's fair game here. Interview prospects to determine the criteria for selecting a property or to determine the qualifications of prospect. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, but it's vague, so it's all right.
What?
It's vague.
It is?
Yeah, it is. For selecting a property, so we shouldn't be talking about a certain property.
Okay, so you're just like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
just looking for the loopholes.
Okay, I get it. That's why we keep you around, Aries. And then for Florida, permissible activities. I was like, answer the
Oh, geez,
phone.
I was gonna say, like, you can't answer a phone
Permissible.
call? That's insane.
Okay, permissible. Okay, that's the key word.
Unlicensed assistants may not. Great. I mean,
And Florida
everything's
doesn't give a
fair
shit
game
about
in
anything.
Florida. That is awesome. Okay.
Would you mind scrolling up to Arizona for me, Sandy? Real
Yep.
quick while we're on here?
Oh
Thank
man,
you.
Kate's off the call, but Kate's good to go. Arizona. What do we got here? May. Okay, so this is what they may do. So let's go down here. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm surprised Iowa's the strictest of them all.
Are you though? I mean,
Kind of. I don't know. Iowa never ceases to surprise me. I'll just say that.
true. Yeah, they're all over. Yeah, because it's like we're a red state, so why do we have like
Right. But then
government up
sometimes
our
like
ass?
taxes are super high and regulations are super high, but we're supposed to, be more deregulated and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. That's very anybody else want me to check on any other states? Ohio, do you want me to check on Ohio? We got Kelsey on here. Let's see.
Sure.
It specifically says call a for sale by owner or owner of expired listings to discuss their housing needs. So those are the only ones that they cannot call, basically. So that's all right. Everything else is fair game. Cool. Anybody else have any other states they are curious about?
How about in LA? Though it's not really, it's a state, but I've heard that cold calling in LA is prohibited. Not sure.
This is Brial, by the way, you guys. He has barely any accent, if you guys can tell. But he's not feeling well, so we didn't open up his mic too much.
Okay, I'm listening.
Let's see. Oh, and Brial, don't forget, I want to get some resources from you on studying that you've done for that, by the way. YouTube videos and stuff like we were talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Looks like it's fine.
Give any multiple listing service to the public.
Which is really weird.
Yeah, that's something. Number 6. Yeah.
That's really weird.
Or 5 is attempt to induce the prospective client. Attempt. Okay. So that's going to be my intention instead.
Services of the broker regarding specific property or during cold calls. So it's like during cold calls, like I can be in a cold call. This is weird. California has it really worded weird, but who's surprised with California? Nobody. You guys, when I'm famous, all of these WTF Wednesdays, I'm gonna get canceled for, and we all know it. Okay, it's almost 11. Does anybody have any questions or questions, last minute comments, anything? Time flew on this one, huh?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you guys for hopping on. That was very, especially Aries, that was very, very informative. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cynthia, I have one last question for you. What is one of the top things that you've learned, or what is one of the best things that's been working for you lately in your calls or setting appointments?
I think the most common is like, it's not actually tough ones, it's like following up with the leads whenever like we receive it, because like for example for realtor.com leads, we normally take it as a top priority. So once we've got we got the notification, we need to call them, but for instance they don't answer, so we need to follow up, do at least follow up a call within the day for like 2 to 3 times. And then the rest, we're still polishing it, since this one is kind of new to me, being in
Awesome.
in the realtor business.
Awesome, thank you. And everyone, anybody who wants to be let into that ISA Thinkific training, DM me the email address that you want added to for that, and I will be happy to do that for you.
Sure. Sandy, real quick, I had one more question. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Aries, you were talking about how you have like built your own scripts and how you had to kind of teach yourself how to learn to call a different type of client.
Yeah.
How long do you find from like when you start that process of approaching a new type of client till you start seeing success? Like how long does it take you to tweak your approach to where you feel like you're in the groove and you're seeing the level of success you're happy with? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It depends on the situation. Especially if they are in the state, if they're open to Zoom, how old they are, all of those factors would affect. But if they're old people, I'd say over 60 years old, I'd say in 2 weeks. If there are people less than 50 years, it depends on how good they are with Zoom, because they really need to see me, or they really need to see something connected to me, like signatures and email are really important to me. So, to signify myself, like I actually exist. I'm not from Pakistan or something, or India. So I really need to make sure of that. So I'd say about a week to 2.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I posted the link in there for if you guys want to look at those statutes. And then if you guys are ever interested in looking into hiring your own ISA or a social media manager or even an executive assistant, which was my very first virtual assistant hire, is the whole overarching assistant. That is my link for scheduling a Virtuplicity consult. And that's the link you got to use because it has me and my COO on the call. So you get both of us basically dissecting your business and deciding for you what you need. All right, guys. That'll do it.
Oh, good dogs.